Welcome back to the Find Me in Seattle podcast. It is Thursday, December 31st, 2020. It is the last day of the year, so I had to record a year-end podcast here to just kind of recap everything that's happened because it was not a normal year, and I think we're all extremely happy that this is over, that this year is now going to be completely behind us and we can start fresh, start new, think of something new and try to make something be a little bit better. Is that what we want? Who knows what curveballs the next year has for us, but there's no doubt that this year is going to be maybe the first year that many of us really will always remember. I think we have moments in previous years that we can go back and be like, oh yeah, that was 1998 and that was 2001 and that was 2011 when these milestones happened. But there's no doubt that everyone is going to have this connectedness with 2020. I think it's something that when we meet adults later in our life, we're going to ask about this year and be like, what was that like for you? What were you doing? Oh, you were living in New York in 2020? Like, what happened to you, right? We're going to be curious about the stories that we share with individuals and our friends and the people that we encounter in life. And this was such a big, large shared experience for just about everyone around the world, and how this affected us and how it changed everything is going to be very interesting. I mean, unless you meet someone from New Zealand who's like, yeah, we went in lockdown a couple days, but we were more or less living our normal lives. Everyone here in America went through an tumultuous ups and downs. And if you kind of want to get more into the details of what the early shutdown was like, going through early pandemic to the protests that happened in the summer and then the election, check out my other podcast, Community is a Verb. That goes into way more depth about those three specific topics. But what I'm going to do here in this last episode of 2020 is I've just been looking at my stream of photos and videos on my iPhone today and yesterday, and just looking back at all the memories and realizing that, heck, there was so many good, fun things that were very different about this year, but really made this year special for me. And I consider myself extremely lucky that this could have been so much worse for me. And this could have been, like, there are millions of people out in the world who struggled so much more than I did this year. And I'm really grateful for that. My business improved this year, which in March, I didn't know what was going to happen. I feel like my mental health and clarity has improved. I've learned a ton about myself. I've done so much self-reflection from which really, I think, back over the summer and all the racial reckonings that were happening, and reflecting on my own self and my race and who I was. And I feel like I've grown up a ton as a person. I got married this year, so that's been a whole new change in my life, truly having a significant other that I'm bonded to for life, and all of our decisions are kind of made together now, and that was a huge highlight. And I supported hundreds of businesses this year, which is super cool, and that's kind of what my iPhone always has. It's a great review to go back and be like, look at all these cool places I went and these amazing things that I ate. I ate so much food every single year, and it was fun. When I got back to January and February, I was like, wow, I can't believe these things happened this year. And so starting in January, one of the first things that I did was I took engagement photos with my friend Trong. Shout out to you, Trong Nguyen. He took Amanda out to the secret spot on the mountains, and we did like our engagement photos. And looking back at those photos is just like, wow, what a great, wonderful start to the year. Had some amazing food adventures in January. Went to this hot pot place where they gave me, it was like $200 in gift cards for hot pot, and I had like towers of meat for this hot pot. I went to where else? Let's just go through here. That probably is the easiest way to do it. I did like my first real paid video this year, which was really cool. It was for these group of cattle ranchers. They had me come down to Oregon, and they had their big like annual conference. And I went and I bought their beef from Whole Foods and learned all the story about how they procure the beef and why it's at Whole Foods and how all these small ranches come together and they kind of create a union to sell in bulk to places like Whole Foods. And I did a video about what it was like to go purchase for them. And then I went and I spoke as the keynote speaker at their conference and just talked about the importance of social media and online media and how important it is to tell your story online nowadays. And I think back at that time and what I was talking about and how quickly that reality must have impacted their business right away, where it was like, whoa, like we need to communicate a ton online. We either need to be selling directly to customers or on building a relationship so customers come into stores and buy our products. And the whole thing was just about like the importance of telling your story on digital media. And that became the cornerstone of 2020 for a majority of businesses is how are you going to communicate when everyone's working from home? How are you going to get people's attention? How are you going to tell stories? So when people get into the position where they have buying power, how do they remember your name? And I can't believe that was this year where I went and I did that. That was probably the first like big speaking event. I mean, there were hundreds of people in this room, and I made the vlog about going to Whole Foods, which was an awkward experience. I don't know if I want to make another vlog going to a grocery store after that. I had an epic meal at Metropolitan Market as well, which is like looking at this and hanging out with the server and eating this food. And shout out to Kat, who's the social media manager there. Oh man, I got pictures of the flag. So I guess the Seahawks were in the playoffs last year. I had all these photos from one of my clients in the real estate business. Shout out to Windermere Mount Baker. And just taking pictures in person is so interesting. Seeing people sitting in conference rooms. In January, they did a vision board where they brought in all these magazines and a bunch of the brokers all hung out and created vision boards for the year. And I can't imagine any of those visions were really set. I tried Bingsu for the first time in the end of January. So that was from, I believe, Milky in Edmonds, and that was absolutely delicious. I haven't been back there, but I need to go get some Bingsu from somewhere else. The other big highlight that was in January that I can't believe is, sorry for those UW fans there, but I went to the Oregon-UW basketball game, and Oregon pretty much was losing the whole game. We were getting heckled in the fans. We were sitting at the very top row of seats in the stadium, and we ended up winning like on a game-winning buzzer beater. It was like the only time we had a lead in the game, and I watched that video this morning, and that made me very happy. I had one of the most interesting dinners I ever been to. I went to this tiny Chinese restaurant in SeaTac, and I went with a bunch of people that I didn't know. I got invited and didn't know who I was going there, and it was just a very interesting situation. But they had a full chicken in the pot, like head and feet and everything. Maybe one of the most interesting meals that I had all week, all year. I remember meeting the people over at Macadon's, and they made me custom, what are those called? Oh my gosh, Macadon's macarons, and they put my backpack on my face on it. That was so cool, like such a fun thing to do and have that customized. And then Sushi Samurai, also, they did two really cool things for me this year. One plate, it said "Find me in Sushi Samurai." They like wrote it on the plate, and another one was they did like a tribute to Kobe Bryant. I think it was the day that he passed away. I came in, and Kobe Bryant passed away this year. That like, oh my gosh, if you want to take one little silver lining from that moment, like he didn't see all of the pain that was caused this year after his passing. And then so that is mostly getting you through February. There's so much food to go through here. I could go through so many different businesses and stories. All right, let's go into March. So February, we're getting towards the end of February, and I got kidnapped by my friends for my bachelor party. That was such a shock. I remember Amanda woke me up one morning. I was like, "Why are you waking me up?" And I stumbled out, and there was 15 people just like sitting in my living room going like, "Surprise, like we're kidnapping you this morning and we're going to go on a little golf trip and celebrate." And that was all capped off with the Sounders, first game of the Sounders season, which was on leap year, February 29th. And it was just so cool to like spend that whole weekend with some of my closest friends. A bunch of guys flew up to Seattle to spend that with me. And thinking about, I remember being out that night or being at the house that we were staying at and talking about COVID-19 and, being like, oh, like one of us, we assume none of us have it, but like there's a very, very small chance that we're putting ourselves at risk, right? And it was kind of like brushed off. It wasn't that big of a deal. But in hindsight, that was really the last time that I hung out in Seattle in a really large group, because shortly after that outing, we got on a plane and we went to Bangkok on March 1st for our wedding. Check out the wedding podcast if you want to hear more about that if you're missing that. But the wedding, by far, by a million miles, was the absolute highlight of 2020. Such a beautiful, romantic, fun, exhilarating, terrifying thing for us to do, to fly to Southeast Asia while the pandemic is roaring on that part of the country. It was still not, I think here in Washington, we'd had some of the early deaths and cases, but it was nothing like it was going to turn into. And that was just absolutely incredible to fly there, to have 60 other people also come to Bangkok to celebrate us when they didn't have to, when the pressure to not get on a plane was so high. We had 120 people RSVP to fly to Bangkok to be part of the wedding, and 60 people made it. So I will be forever grateful and in debt to those people who took that risk and took that chance to come there. That was absolutely incredible. Maybe a thing that we look back on and it's like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have done that. Maybe that was unsafe, but I wouldn't change it, and I don't regret it whatsoever, because that was a life-changing moment for me and an experience never had. That was the first time that we ever wore masks, and we got familiar with that. I'm looking at the pictures now. This is March 1st, and Amanda and I are actually like lacing together these N95 masks that we were wearing for the first time, and pretty much we put those on when we got to the Taiwan airport. So the masks like weren't a thing when we were in Seattle. We get on the plane, we land in Taiwan, and like first thing we see is please wear a mask. And so I have these pictures. We're actually not wearing a mask in the airport to begin with. We get to like one of the lounges because we have like a 3-hour layover, and that's when we put on the masks. And who would have, we didn't know that was going to become the norm for a long time after that. And we have pictures, we had fun. We just wore the mask, and we thought it was like a fun thing at this time, right? We had these like kissing photos with us with the masks on. And we didn't get a picture with our mask on in our wedding gear. That was the one thing that we missed. But there are so many amazing photos that I'm going through here, and just like great memories of sweating my butt off in Asia. It was so hot. And so stressful. There was so much anxiety on that trip. We never really got to make it a true vacation because we were just dealing with COVID-19 the whole time. There was anxiousness everywhere you go out publicly, but we're also dealing with the 100+ people who are asking questions. What's it like there? What's going on? My job's not going to let me go. What happens if I quarantine when I get back? There was just so many challenges with that, and so much anxiety, but so much great food. I'm just going through. I have so many amazing pictures. While we were in Bangkok, we went and we saw a fashion show by the princess, which was a great story in itself. I know we shared this in the wedding podcast, that we go to this fashion show. Amanda had been to it before, and one of Amanda's close family friends kind of works on the team, and we're dressed nicely, but this is a red carpet event, paparazzi, big celebrities coming through. And there was a moment while we were watching the red carpet where these 3 celebrities, it was like 2 guys and a girl, and the crowd went crazy. There was even people behind the fence screaming. It was like, the Backstreet Boys showed up. And so we're just like, oh, who's that? We don't know who those people are. That's really cool. And then we get our tickets and we go and we sit down, and we're like in the second row, like right in the center. And the celebrities walk through and they sit directly in front of us. And we're just like, what are we doing here? How did we get into this position of being at the princess's fashion show, and the 3 most famous people that are here are sitting right in front of us? It was just such a funny experience. And I remember the following day, all our family started getting there, and our anxiety started to go away a little bit. One of the most fun moments of that trip was we all had this Thai clothing that we were going to wear to the wedding. And we had this really special day where Amanda's parents and my parents all went to the, I don't know what to call them, the people who were making the dresses and making I guess we can call them Thai suits for the wedding, the traditional Thai wear. And it was just such a cool, fun, memorable experience to go like try on all those clothes with both sets of parents. And that's when I was like, oh, this thing is real. We're really having this Thai wedding. Was sharing that with both sets of parents would be something that that was a very special day leading up to the wedding. And then there was the one day that we went to the Grand Palaces with everybody that was here that could make it for the wedding that was in that one time. And that was a ton of fun. Thailand ended in such a hectic way after the wedding. We got the last flight from Bangkok to Taiwan and the last flight out of Taiwan to America, and I'm not really sure how many flights have even gone back since. We're looking to go back. We want to go this October 2021, but we'll see if we actually make it. All right, we get back and it's funny, there's like a 2-week gap because the 2 weeks that we were kind of in a self-isolation quarantine and we didn't do anything. The whole city was in lockdown in the city. Nothing was going on and it was just completely dead outside. And so it's interesting. I have like a 2-week gap here at the end of March, beginning of April. It's like, man, nothing was really going on. I've got like pictures of toast and some of the figurines that we bought and like pictures of my cats and pictures of me like working out in my office. It's funny that it was like that was a true like stop for us. But then when we got back, it really started to build new habits about going out wearing masks or not going out at all, getting Amazon Fresh for the first time and ordering everything delivered. And pretty quickly when I got back, I felt like I missed out on the shutdown with supporting and promoting so many businesses. I wasn't there for that like initial part and I felt guilty about missing that. But once I kind of was back and got comfortable, I mean, the food collaborations were absolutely insane. This is probably one of the wildest food years I've ever had. I'm looking at these sandwiches that I got. I mean, how many delivery boxes do I have? I probably have 4 or 5 different videos that I made on delivery boxes. Oh yeah, speaking of videos, I was looking at my YouTube channel. I published over 60 videos this week. So on average, that's once a week. I'm really proud of that. That's on top of at least 20 other videos that I've done for clients this year. I did 10 episodes of I did 9 episodes of Community as a Verb and edited those. So those are 9 different videos. Plus the other podcast I started with my friend Randy that is private. I don't talk about it all, but I do this fantasy football podcast reviewing our fantasy football league. And so that's a lot of videos. I mean, I've done right around 100 videos this year. And so I'm very proud of those accomplishments. Oh, cool. In April, after we got out of our quarantine, we iced all of our friends. This was it must have been on Easter. It was on one of those holidays. And we just went and knocked on people's doors and ran back to our car and we left them a Smirnoff Ice and a little sign and they had to chug the Smirnoff Ice. And that was like a welcome back. We are here. Now what are we going to do? And like, how are we going to make the most of this situation that we're in? And oh man, just going through the spring was such a change, right? I remember going to Pike Place Market and Pike Place Market being fully shut down. I did a great video with Atrium Kitchen on their giveaway. In April, I got a little video here of me getting my stimulus check from the government and Donald Trump. I've got that actually saved away. I'm going to keep that check forever. Mobile Deposit saving me because that check was just something that to remember the year by. That was just crazy. A lot of dining out, a lot of picnic photos I got. I ate at Racha here in Queen Anne. It's our favorite wonton noodle soup. Amanda and I mean, probably a dozen times ordered their food, picked it up, and sat at Seattle Center Park and just ate all that food. This year I tried durian for the first time, that stinky fruit from Asia. I did a video about trying durian. That was a ton of fun. I had a lot of pizza, a lot of mod pizza, sadly. Not as much local pizza. Man, so many meal kits. Marco Baldaceda's Peruvian pop-up. That was absolutely, he had the rotisserie chicken. Man, that was so long ago. That was delicious. Check him out if you haven't. I did this video at one of the senior centers. The senior center shut down and they some volunteers were delivering lunches to those seniors every single day. So I went and I filmed a video with all those volunteers, and then like going through the whole assembly line, packing up all the lunches, and then getting in a bus and driving house to house and delivering all of them. That was such an inspiring thing to see and be a part of. And bingo and poker were like big highlights of my year, because that's how I stayed in touch with so many of my friends. The friends that are some of my longest friends, a lot of the friends that I met in college, one of the best parts about this year is I spent more time with them virtually than I'd ever talked with them since I graduated college, which was so refreshing and beneficial. And how we did that this year is for like 20 Saturdays in a row, we all got on Zoom and we played bingo. So everyone bought bingo cards and dabbers, and we broadcast all on Zoom, and someone had a digital Zoom and just shared the screen, and we played bingo all together. I lost a ton. Amanda was far luckier than I was when it comes to bingo, but it was like 20 weeks in a row where we just got to like keep up with everyone in their lives and what was going on. And a couple of the couples have kids. One couple had a child during this time, and they're still able to make bingo. And that was just, I have such fondness and great memories of those times, because those were some of the things that kept me sane through this year while we're spending so much time indoors. We did another thing on Monday nights. I have a regular poker group now, and we Zoom and we play on this app. And that has, between those two socializations, I feel like I filled in a lot of those social gaps I was missing. Obviously, we didn't see people. I mean, I'm thinking about how many in-person friend interactions I had in 2020 after the wedding, and man, less than 24 intentional times where we saw people, or had a picnic outside or sat in the back of our cars. I know Wendy and Roger, we had one meeting where we just sat in a parking lot for a couple hours and brought lunch and sat in the back of our cars and had a conversation. I did that a few times, and probably something, we don't necessarily do again. Maybe we will here in 2021, but that was just like, there's a very different way to hang out with your friends. More meal kits, like there's a spaghetti meal kit, lots of sandwiches, lots of delivery food. I played a decent amount of golf this year. That was a saving factor. Did not drink a lot of alcohol. I'm seeing a Bloody Mary here from White Swan, and that was the one of a very few times that I drank at all, which is probably a good thing for me based off my diet this year, which I'm going through. I'm just like, oh my gosh, how many burritos and fried chicken sandwiches, macaroni and pizza and sushi rolls did I eat? It's just so gluttonous. The summer was absolutely crazy. I'm getting to May and June here. And the social reckoning, racial reckoning of the George Floyd murder and the protests that happened after that was just a very enlightening time for me, just to think about, what am I doing? How am I making an impact? How am I telling stories? And there was a time where I looked back and I was like, you know what? I am showing a wide array of businesses and owners, and just going through, when I was self-auditing myself, it's like, oh, am I being biased in the people that I'm showing off here? And I felt like I actually do a pretty good job in diversifying the businesses that I talk about, but just more of a focus that, I'm really thinking about it now. I tried that pizza from, what's this place in down south? I can't remember, but they have the chicken coop outside the protest, what we call the community is verb. I call it like protest porn. There was like 2 weeks there where the major protest was happening here in Seattle, and that was what I watched every single night. I just watched the live stream of people standing there in the front lines against police officers. We made a lot of art, specifically Amanda made a lot of art down at Crawfish King. We spent the day and we made the All You Need Is Love mural at Crawfish King. That was a good memory. In the summer, I started doing the Find Me in Seattle shorts. I was doing a bunch of 1-minute videos to highlight to-go restaurants. I think I did like 20 of those, and then I kind of burnt myself out and wasn't as excited about them anymore. But that was kind of the big things that I worked on this summer. And then one of my favorite photos of the year was the Pike Place Market sign going dark, but they only kept the BLM letters up. I thought that was super cool. That's probably my photo of the year, honestly. What else did I do? Man, there's some teriyaki, some Caribbean food. I got my first COVID test there in, it looks like July, and I documented that whole video. You can go check out my COVID, what it's like to go get a COVID test. That was probably one, we've probably done it like 6 or 7 times since then. The one other trip that we made, I went and visited my parents in July up in Sandpoint, Idaho. And oh my gosh, I can't believe we're only in July and I got to finish up here. Man, July was so soon, but so far ago. Thai food, ate at so many different Thai restaurants. Oh, lots of pictures of my cats. So thankful for having animals this year. The animals, Calypso and Oolong, are just the loves that I appreciated them more than ever this year, and I'm very glad. I had the deep fried ice cream roll from Mochi Mochi in Ballard. Lots of different plant videos. Peace, love, and happiness. You guys were very good to us this year. Breakfast for burritos from Stoneway Cafe. That happens every single year. And man, it's not even raining yet, which is funny. Lots of Zoom screenshots with all the families. Got one here. My friend Daniel Hansen, his family runs and operates a Mexican restaurant down in Ritos. So one of those bingo nights, we all got Ritos swag from his restaurant. We wore it in support of him. That was really cool. One of the best contraptions for social distancing was that mean sandwich. They had this they have their logo and it pushes out and it's like a box inside the door. So they don't actually open the front door to deliver the food. They just drop it in the hole and push it out of the mouth. And so that was probably one of the coolest things that I saw this year. And man, more plants. There's a lot of plants that happened this year. Towards the end of summer, that's when I started Community as a Verb with my friend Mr. Well Traveled. I did a mochi making kit. I finally dined in at a restaurant at Flow Bellevue as a sushi restaurant I went with my dad. And we ended up, that's really the only place we've dined in all year. I think we did it twice. And the second time we went, it was a lot more crowded and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. La Palmera, you guys were real good. Oh, so much food. The wildest thing that I ate was the bent burger down in South Seattle. It was 2 grilled cheese sandwiches as the bread for a burger. It also had a hot link bacon and a fried egg in it. I was full for 3 days after I ate that one. Amanda started cooking hot pot in our house. That was absolutely delicious. Jack's Barbecue had the barbecue kit sent to me. I got those custom masks from Seattle. What was it called? Not Seattle store. I should have taken the name down of who they were. And then Viaduct. Viaduct make like a bunch of cool, fun shirts and swag. And sports shut down. It was so crazy. We had a couple months where we didn't watch sports. When sports came back, when soccer came back, it was so fulfilling just to like have something that was normal. And we're ending the year here. I kind of skipped over a lot of this because we had the election. I talked about that in the Community as a Verb. We end the year, and I'm really looking forward to 2021. And how's it going to be different? I think we're going to get a lot of curveballs. We're going to get a new president, assuming that everything here in January goes smoothly. We'll see what happens. And just going to keep making these videos. This podcast is definitely going to continue to get attention. This is one of the places, it's my least watched piece of content by far of everything I do, from Community as a Verb to Instagram and TikTok and everywhere else. But the podcast is important. So I appreciate all of you for listening to me this year and coming and hanging out. I appreciate everyone who's worked with me this year. I'm so proud. Every year, my New Year's resolution is to not go get a job, right? I don't want to have to go get a job if I can continue to be self-employed. And for 3 years in a row now, I have successfully did that. And the fact that I made it this year is the year that I'm most proud of. And it was my best year, right? And so that is an incredible feeling. I feel extremely blessed to be able to bring you all this content and to have people and businesses who want to continue to work for me and value my opinion, my expertise, and my services that I provide. That has kept me going for this whole year. It's been good because that has been good, and I've been able to work from home and have a lot of flexibility. And I'm real proud to to be a part of that. All right, I can only record for 29 minutes of this podcast, so I got to end it. But don't worry, I will be back, as you know. Thank you so much for listening to me. I appreciate you. I hope you have a wonderful New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And I know 2021 is going to be so awesome. It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait to connect with you. And maybe we'll even give each other a hug then. So be safe tonight. Enjoy watching from your couch at home. And congratulations, you made it. See you next year.